better behave herself. Under the 2 bars, grabbing your yarn with your hook, pulling through, leaving 2 loops on your hook, around, 2 loops. That's 4. So when you're counting your stitches on the second row, do not count this little loop right here. This was your chain 1 to get you up to the second row. You have 1, 2, 3, 4. You're counting your V stitches on the very top. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now with your 10th stitch, again, you're watching for these V stitches right here, these bars right here. Go under those 2 bars. Yarn over and pull through 2. And that will give you your second row of single crochet. Let me know how you're doing. I'm going to set that down and make sure that everybody is on the same page that's working along. Not Zazer's, because she's driving, and she better not be crocheting and driving. So counting to make sure you have your 10, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So you have your top, your front, your bottom, and I will happily go back and do that again with you if you need me to. Just let me know where you're at and how you're doing. Karen and Cheryl, how we doing? You're good. I figured you were probably good, being that you've been doing this for a little bit. That this is the very basics. I figured you probably had it. I just wanted to make sure. Karen, did I lose you? Or are you doing okay? You're trying. Let me go ahead and I'm going to tear my second row out and get back to the beginning. So here I am at the end of my first row. I'm going to chain up 1, grabbing my work and turning it to the left, over the top, like I said, trying to always turn the same way every time. So if you go with your work from right to left over the top, always go right to left over the top. If you turn it right to left over the bottom, always go right to left over the bottom. So you're going to yarn over, or no you're not, I'm just kidding. You're going to go under your V stitch, under your bars here, the top of your work, grabbing your yarn, pulling through so you have 2 loops on your hook from the back to the front, pulling through 2. Now Karen, don't stress or fret if it looks wonky and if your tension looks off and your stitches don't look even, because that'll come with time. What you want to make sure you're getting right now is just the hang of the stitches themselves. The uniform stitches will come over time. So going through this hole right here, this hole, so it's under the V stitches here at the top, grabbing your yarn, pulling through, front to back, grabbing your yarn, pulling through 2. A lot of tutorials that you watch and directions that you read will say yarn over, insert hook, yarn over, pull through. So you just want to kind of keep an eye on what they're talking about. So with the single crochet, you're inserting your hook, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. Now if you notice right here on the side of the screen, I have on the bottom, it gives right here, it gives you the abbreviations for the stitches. So a slip stitch in the very beginning that we did to start is an SS. A single crochet is an SC. The chain is the CH. Those are the abbreviations that they use most frequently in patterns, especially when they're US patterns, English patterns. Sometimes like the UK and stuff will abbreviate them a little bit differently, but that is the most common abbreviations when you're reading a pattern. And it will say chain, CH, and then the number of how many chains you're supposed to make for your starting chain. Then your row 1 will be your next stitch, such as the single crochet. Your chain does not count as a row. The first set of stitches, in this case the single crochet, counts as your first row. How's your row 2 coming, Karen? Keeping an eye on your end. This is a common spot where people may drop a stitch and not notice. Making sure that you're getting that stitch. Okay, got it. Not as pretty as yours. Well, this is 10 years of crocheting, so it's okay. We're not going for pretty. So now you're going to do the same thing for row 3. You're going to chain 1, so wrapping your yarn from the back to the front, pulling through that loop, that's your chain 1, and turning your work again in the same direction as going from row 1 to row 2. I go over the top from right to left. So your very first stitch of row 3 is going to go in this hole here. So again, yarning over and pulling through those 2 loops. inserting your hook, yarning over the top of your hook, pull through with 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2. There's your V-stitches. Insert your hook, yarn over, pull through, leaving 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2. Go all the way to the end. And then your last stitch is going to go right here under the V stitches. Ignore this little loop. That was your chain, your starting chain from row 2. So you're going to insert your hook under the 2 bars, yarn over, pull through, yarn over again, pull through 2. So that will give you row 3. And if you look, this is nice and straight here on both sides. And if you notice my even though it wants to curl up over here, because this yarn is so stiff, the bottom isn't looping up. Everything's staying nice and straight. That's another reason why going in the bars of your starting chain is so nice, because it helps keep your work nice and straight. So sometimes it'll curl up like this, or it'll curl this way, depending on if your starting chain is looser or tighter than the rest of your crochets, whether it's single, double, triple. It'll cause your work to curl. Yay! Zazers, you're my drawer though. You're gonna be a jack of all trades. So this gives you your 3 rows. Now if you're wanting to count your rows, you have row 1 is here, row 2 is here, and then row 3. So it kind of goes in a zigzag pattern. Let me see if I can get closer and show you, just so you can count them a little easier. You have a stitch here, a stitch here, and a stitch here. My grandmother tried to teach me how to crochet, and I had no interest in it when I was younger. And I don't learn very well from people talking at me and me trying to watch them. So I had to learn it myself through trial and error. And like I said, learning it when Alec was in the hospital seemed to be the best method, because I needed something to occupy my hands and my brain. Karen and Cheryl, let me know how you're doing. Hearts, thank you. I don't have one that I can show you guys right now, but I will look later on for the dishcloths that I make. I figured you were doing great, Cheryl. I'm glad you're doing good, though. Good, got it. Okay, so go ahead and do 2 more rows of your single crochet, and then let me know when you have finished row 5. So the next row we're going to do is row 4. You're going to yarn over, chaining your 1, turning your work, always in the same direction. I will absolutely make a link for my store, Karen. I will do that. Actually, I'm going to do that now while you guys go ahead and do your row 4 and row 5. Let me know if you need me to show you anything. I can pause what I'm doing. I'm going to go ahead and create a link, and then I'll put it here in chat for you. Now keep in mind, all the stuff that I sell is not crocheted. I also do a lot of custom laser engraving as well. And I make some very, very little. I've cut down a lot, some vinyl work such as glasses and signs. But I will put the link to both my store for shopping and my Facebook page in the chat for you guys. Feel free to check out my Facebook page. Give me a like. I would love it. Gift-wise is obviously based off my last name. My husband and I thought it was a cute play on words. You're gifting wisely. So I'm going to go ahead and do my row 4. Got to remember to keep myself slow here. To me, crocheting is one of the most calming and mindless projects that I can do while sitting on the couch relaxing and watching TV or driving. Well, not me driving, I'm riding, but going on a drive, going on a trip. Sitting in a doctor's office. Waiting in the car for my kids if I'm picking them up at school, which I don't have to do anymore. Because you can get 1 ball of cotton yarn for a couple bucks and stick it in your purse, or if you have room, I don't, but in a glove box or a center console of your car, and just carry it with you and work on it when you need something to keep yourself occupied. For your last stitch, ignoring this little loop here because that's your starting chain from the previous row, going under the 2 bars, yarning over, pulling through, yarn over, pull through again, and that gives you your 10 single crochet for row 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And again, your top matches your bottom. Can't believe I'm still going on yellow in this ball of yarn. I did not realize how long the colors were in this colorway. So looking at my edges, they're nice and straight, giving me a nice even edge. If I decide to add a border, if I need to sew pieces together, it gives a nice even edge to work with. So your last row, row 5, you're going to chain 1, turning your work from left to right, inserting in the first hole here, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. Continue that across to the end. Done! Yay! Does your single crochet seem a little easier for you now? Oh, look at you guys. You're all done. Woohoo! I'm done too. You guys just had to go and beat me to it. Karen, how does the single crochet feel to you? Does it feel a little easier for you than it did in the beginning? Are you getting the hang of it okay? I have such a short tail. I'm glad I'm not trying to sew in my ends, because that would not work for me. Okay. There we go. We look good. Karen, oh good. So that is your very, very, very basic, starting out, your single crochets, your chains, your slip stitch, and your turns. Just doing a very basic single crochet, you could get a yarn like this yarn with all the different colors in it, and you could do a single crochet and get all the fantastic colors and do, say, a blanket or a scarf. You would just do your starting chain, the length of your work, the length that you want your work, the width. So if you wanted your baby blanket to be 54 inches wide, you're going to make your chain measure 54 inches wide. If you're only doing single crochet, the number doesn't matter as far as getting your work to the length that you want, the width that you want. The number of chains doesn't matter, but you do want to know the number that you chain so that you can count every so many rows to make sure that you're not losing stitches. which you could use a stitch counter, but they don't go that high. I think this goes up to like 99, which is that's not very much at all. But like I said, this works really good for counting your rows if you remember to hit the button, and I suck at hitting the button. So that is where your stitch markers are going to come in very handy if you use your paper clips to kind of help you keep an idea of how many rows you have. You can use your paper clip. I'm going to get a different color because that one you can't see very well. We'll get green. You can take your paper clip when you finish a row. So we'll go down here. So we're finished here. So you could go and insert your paper clip like this at the end of your row. It still leaves you the spot to insert your hook when you're coming back across. And then that'll allow you to count your paper clips so you know how many rows in you are. But if you're just doing a basic baby blanket that doesn't require a pattern, the number of rows isn't really important. You're just doing it to the length and the width that you prefer. But obviously for patterns that require color changes or so many rows for sleeves or the base, you're going to need to know how many rows you have. So this is the paper clips I find are a really good tool for keeping track of how many rows you have. I mean, you can get, I have this nifty little box that I bought at Walmart that has so many paper clips in them. And I don't feel bad if I lose them. They don't break. There's lots of pretty colors. So sometimes I'll do one color, say for 9 stitches, and on the 10th stitch, I'll use a different color so that I can just easily go 10, 20, 30, 40. You can just buy, these are so cheap. Do you guys have any questions? We've been going for a little over an hour. Here's somebody's car alarm going off outside. It's not mine. There we go. Do you guys have any questions? I'm going to go ahead and put my paper clips away. Which extra stitch are you referring to? The chain at the end of your row? Is that the extra stitch? This one right here, when you chain up 1 before you rotate your work? Is that the okay, that is just a stitch to get you up to the next row. So that's not actually a stitch that you're using. Because if you didn't chain up 1, I'll show you how it looks. If you did not do that chain 1 and you simply rotate your work and go into that stitch, it's going to give you a more uneven edge. Plus, a lot of people have a tendency of missing. It just makes it tighter, and by doing the chain 1, it gives you a cleaner, straighter edge, really. Oh, you've learned a lot. I'm so glad. And a lot of patterns are going to tell you to chain 1, or if you're doing a double crochet, they're going to tell you to chain 2 before you turn your work, just to get you a cleaner edge and get you up to that next row a little smoother. So you see how, without doing that chain one, how the edge looks here, how it's more curved? And by chaining one, it makes it so this is a more pointed corner. I'm glad you've learned new things. Be sure to share with your friends the link. Have you guys all joined my Discord? I'm assuming you have. I believe I've seen you guys in there. Make sure you're in the Discord. If you guys have any questions, even on days that I'm not streaming, I will be happy to answer those questions if you're working ahead or if you're working on a project you need a little bit of help on. I will be happy to answer them for you to the best of my ability. I'm going to go ahead and rip out that last row. So I was telling Zazzers one of my favorite things, and I need to create a little frog for it, is a frog saying rip it or frog it, because that when you mess up and you tear a row out, they say rip it, rip it. So they say, or they say frog it, and that's why. So I just frogged that last row. So when you guys, if you guys want to work ahead on this and see, you can keep doing it to practice your tension and make sure that your stitches are all nice and uniform and that you get a little bit more comfortable with that. Or you can take it apart if you don't want to. It's entirely up to you. If you decide to save it, if you have any paper clips, you can go ahead and take your hook out and put it in this loop right here. I'm going to grab me a paper clip. I'm going to insert it in that loop. And then I'm going to pull it through the paper clip so it's nice and tight. And then that way your stitch isn't going to fall out and your work all come undone. And you don't have to leave your hook in it, which I have a tendency of leaving my hook in my work. And then if you don't have multiples, when you go to start another project, say you ran out of yarn or whatever the case may be, with me, I tend to be working on a project for myself and then I'll get an order in and I have to start on something different and I won't have the hook size and I'll have to go through all my works in progress, my WIPs, W-I-P, to find my hook. So putting the paper clip in is really nice, and I'm going to get the link for these up in my store shortly, but these work really good for that as well. So you don't forget the hook size that you're using, which I've also had that happen as well. I'll be working on a project, I'll put it down like a blanket, I'll put it down to go back and work on it later. I won't have a hook with it and I won't remember what hook size I used. And then I'll just grab what I think I might have used and I'll find out it was wrong and my stitches aren't uniform and my work gets all wonky and I get angry and throw it out. So these little guys work really good for that purpose because you can just take it off and hook it in and it looks pretty and it holds your stitch. And you'll be able to tell what hook size, if you use the one with the hook size, you'll be able to tell what size you used. Another way that I do it is I hook it down at the beginning and just leave it on my work while I work on it. And then I always know what hook size I used. So I think that is about it for today. That puts us at almost an hour and a half. I hope you guys have figured out your single crochets, your chains, turning your work. Cheryl, I believe you were the one that said that your work has a tendency to do one of these numbers where it kind of tapers in like that because you find out you're dropping stitches. I hope that you're able to count them a little better now and that you're able to tell where to put your hook in so you don't drop those stitches. The next stream I would like to move on to the half double crochet. Oh, you're most welcome. The next stream I want to go on to the half double crochet. Maybe if we pick that one up easily, being that you've got the single crochet, I'll move on to the double. Not sure. I also am going to show you guys how I join colors of yarn. Or say you run out of a ball of yarn and you need to add more to it. I'm going to show you how I do that in the next stream. If you could comment and let me know what works best for you. My thought process was to do it Wednesday. I don't know if evening or daytime works better for you guys. Either one is fine with me because I'm a stay-at-home mom, so pretty much any time works. And Zazers doesn't stream on Wednesdays, so I won't be interfering with her. Oh, I'm so glad you enjoyed it, Karen. I'm glad. This is my first attempt at teaching online like this. I wanted to teach a class in person, but the cost to rent a space was ridiculous, and I couldn't get people to do it. So I thought maybe this would be a good way. So if you guys could let me know what day of the week and what time of day works best for you. Oh, good, Cheryl. I'm going to go ahead and post in the Discord later this evening when the next stream will be, but like I mentioned, I do want to do it on Wednesday. So if you check under the crocheting and schedule, that's where I will post it at. It is subject to change. I have 4 kids and a husband, so things tend to pop up that cause me to have to change my schedule a little bit, but I'm hoping that's not the case. Otherwise, I will plan on seeing you guys on Wednesday. Again, if you have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to let me know. I actually did work with a library. My grandmother was a librarian for many years, and the library that she worked at had me come in. I did a few different things there. I was a photographer for several years, and they had me come in and display some of my work. I taught a hula hoop class at the local YMCA. They had me come into the Y and teach a hula hoop class. You have a good week too, Cheryl. I hope to see you on Wednesday. Let me know what time works best for you guys. I am saving the videos on my Twitch account, so you guys can watch them later if you can't make it. But yeah, so I've gone to the library, but they wanted me to pay to use the space, and when it became winter, people didn't want to drive, so it just became more of a hassle than what it was worth at the time. And now with COVID, people are even less likely to go out. Evenings, okay. So why don't we shoot for, will 7 o'clock Eastern work for everybody on Wednesday? Let me know. If I can get up to 50 followers, we're at 16. You guys can go ahead and subscribe to my channel. Okay, good. Let's just plan on 7 o'clock Eastern on Wednesday. I'll go ahead and post that in the Discord when I end stream. If anything changes, I'll post it there. Otherwise, I will see you guys then. I thank you so very much for joining me, and I'm glad I could teach you guys some skills here. And just think, if you get really cold, you can grab a ball of yarn and you can single crochet till your heart's content and maybe have a blanket and stay warm. That's my theory. If nothing else, I have a life-saving skill. You're most welcome, Catterly. Thanks so much, guys. You have a wonderful night, and I will see you guys on Wednesday.